Hi, Professor Hickson. All right, we have your hoodie done, and let me pull back. You can see the whole thing. And then I'm going to explain each patch. All right, I chose the Underground Railroad. Although the novels that we read represent a different escape from the South to the North, I feel like all the freedoms were spun from the shoulders of Harriet Tubman and the Underground Railroad. And we did mention her briefly at the end of the course. And then here we have, it says, "Beauty is here because I am here," a quote. And I chose this one because we talked about how Black women were the lowest on the totem pole. And I love this fabric because it illustrates the beauty of Black women when Black women were usually known as Mamies and Jezebels. This fabric also reminded me of Song of Solomon, specifically Hagar, who felt rejected by Milkman because she wasn't beautiful enough. And then we have over here, and I chose that one because it reminded me of Tea Cake and Janie, just how passionate their love was. I thought it illustrated it well. And then here we have, it reminded me of Four Colored Girls. This was actually what kind of got the idea going. We were in our local fabric store and I saw it and I said, that reminds me of the novel that we're reading, Four Colored Girls. And I love all the women in the different colored skirts there. And then
Migration.
that one is part of the Four Colored Girls fabric. And then here we have the Negroes fabric. I chose this one because it outlines how indisposable Black men were thought to be. It promoted the sale of enslaved people, which our characters were not too far from. And this fabric especially reminded me of Alice Walker's The Third Life of Grange Copeland and Toni Morrison's Song of Solomon, because the men were so compromised and enslaved to their histories. And then here, as a woman in chains, and you'll be able to see these closer, of course, when you get it. And it says, "Am I not a woman and a sister?" And I chose this fabric because all of our women characters, Fredo, Pilot, Ruth, Janie, were not thought of as women by society at large. Womanhood was a social privilege and moral status reserved for white women. So this picture of a woman in chains and asking, "Am I not a woman and a sister?" really spoke to me. And then here we have the Great Migration. And I chose that one because I saw that movie Cast by Isabel Wilkerson. And of course, I did my capstone on the Great Migration. All right, we're going to flip it over to the other side. And here, I love this one. It's probably one of my favorites. It reminds me of Janie from Their Eyes Were Watching God. Just how bold she is, her colorful personality, larger than life. I really loved it. And then this one, the children playing, reminded me of Song of Solomon, specifically the scene where the children are playing and singing a children's rhyme about Rina and Jake. The great line in the song where Solomon was the flying African who escaped slavery by flying back to Africa, and Rina, his wife, whose grief was so intense that it created Rina's Gulch. And then here we have the Four Colored Girls again, and Tea Cake and Janie. And then Four Colored Girls. And that one as well. This one kind of reminded me of Tyler Perry's representation of Four Colored Girls. And then this very last one reminds me of Pilot in Song of Solomon, just with the head wrap and the chickens. Even though it was the peacock, it reminds me of when Milkman or Guitar said, you know, how is he gonna fly with all that shit? So I love that. And then you had something to say?
Yes, I wanted to tell you I put a lot of love into this and I hope you love it because Ivy told me how amazing you are. So I wanted to make it perfect for you.